Hey, what is up everyone? Today is Tuesday, which means that it's time for another live Q&A. As always, I am your host, Paul J. Lipsky. Here on this channel, I talk a lot about different ways to make money online and focus a lot on dropshipping onto different marketplaces like eBay and Facebook Marketplace. Definitely check out some of the videos I've made because I go really in depth. I show like over my shoulder how you can get started with this. And then after watching those videos, if you have any questions, come to one of these live streams, jump into the live chat, just like Leanne did here, and ask your questions, and I will do my best to answer them for you. So what is up, Brett? So sorry, Brett, if you send me like one of those sticker things with my software, I can't see it, but it gives a very vague, sometimes funny description of what the sticker looks like. So thank you for the purple peace sign sticker that you sent me. What's up, Leanne? How's it going? All right. Let's start out with the first question from Blood and Thunder. They ask, are you sourcing from Home Depot for the international shipping program? What if eBay receives a Home Depot box? Isn't that a red flag that you're drop shipping? Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to unpack with this. So first of all, eBay has this program. It's called the International Shipping Program, I believe is a new name for it. They just changed it. The old name used to be the Global Shipping Program, but both programs, the old one and the new one, work the same way. The way it works is you can sell items to customers that are not in the United States through the program. If the customer buys from you, all you have to do is ship the item to eBay's headquarters or eBay's warehouse, and they will then send it along to the customer overseas. So that makes it a lot easier for any seller on eBay to sell items internationally. They no longer have to worry about international shipping fees, tariffs, different things like that. All you have to do is get the item delivered to eBay, and eBay takes care of the rest. Now, when I first started dropshipping, I used this a lot, and I really liked the program. I would buy stuff for my customers from Amazon, from Walmart, from Home Depot, get it sent to eBay, and then eBay would forward it along. The question is, how did eBay know which packages were mine and which packages belong to another sale or another seller entirely? And that all had to do with the tracking number on the order. So they would see the tracking number on the box, they would correlate that to the tracking number that you uploaded into eBay, and that is how they identify the packages. There was another way as well, but that was one of the ways that they did that. Now, what happened over the past few years, as some suppliers stopped really providing tracking numbers that we could upload, that kind of broke the system for us. So I started recommending that people stop using the Global Shipping Program or the new International Shipping Program for that very reason. Because if you don't get one of those tracking numbers, then the item might get delivered to eBay and they don't know what to do with it, and it's just kind of lost, and then, that's a problem. You don't want that to happen. So if you're going to use one of the suppliers like Amazon or Walmart, who sometimes don't give you tracking numbers, you do want to avoid that. But some other suppliers like Home Depot, they do always provide tracking numbers that you can upload. They don't have their own tracking system like Amazon does, for instance, with their Amazon Logistics, those vans that drive around. So for those ones, certainly you could set those up for international shipping, and we haven't had any sort of problem with that. I don't think eBay, they have some sort of internal dialogue between their fulfillment center and whoever is in charge. And regardless of that, eBay does know we're drop shipping, and they haven't penalized us for us. They haven't, in other words, they haven't deleted our accounts or suspended us for doing it. So they know we're doing it. So it hasn't been an issue. Cyber Player says, I know you don't like to have direct competition with other sellers, but I got to ask, what happens when someone's selling the item for the same price as available on the supplier's website? So that comes, the reason that's happening is a few different reasons. One is if they're not doing drop shipping. It's possible that they bought those items from their local Walmart store for when they were on discount. So now they are able to sell for cheaper. It's also possible that they're doing some sort of wholesale. Maybe not in this case, but in other cases, it's possible they're doing wholesale. Or unfortunately, the other situation is where the person selling it is really purchasing the items with fraudulent fraudulent credit cards that they scammed people out of. So that's kind of a way that they kind of like, take stolen credit cards and get money out of them in a way. So really unfortunate. Hopefully something like that gets shut down really soon. And in the meantime, you just focus on other items or other suppliers if you're frustrated with it. Brett says, if AutoDS takes too long to order something from my store using their own personal Amazon accounts, can I just cancel their auto order for that single item and order it myself personally? You have to reach out to their support to do that. So there's no way that I know of to just go in there and cancel it yourself. You would have to reach out to their support and do that. Sweet. Hey, what's up, Robert? Okay. Cool. Okay. Brett says, if you're using Amazon without Prime as a supplier, will they give you a warning before canceling your account if they suspect you are a dropshipper before they take any serious actions? All right, let's unpack that one. So what Brett is talking about is when you're dropshipping from Amazon, you don't want to be using an Amazon Prime account. If you use an Amazon Prime account, Amazon will see that you are shipping to multiple addresses. They'll realize you're using it for reselling purposes, and they will shut down your Prime account. If you use a regular Amazon account, we're not seeing that same issue. So use a regular Amazon account. Brett seems to be scared that they're still going to shut down his account. And I'm here to tell you that we haven't seen that happen. They obviously know when we're drop shipping because they're able to detect that on Prime accounts and shut them down. But they aren't doing it for regular accounts. They're still allowing us to sell. And same thing with Walmart. If you have Walmart Plus, they don't like that when you drop ship using Walmart Plus. But if you use regular Walmart, they allow us to buy stuff. So they obviously know that we're doing this, Amazon and Walmart, and they don't care as long as you're not using their subscription services like Prime or Plus. Tyler says, why does Zeek Analytics log out after like 45 seconds of inactivity? I have to log back in over 15 times during a session. That should not be happening. That doesn't happen to me. I use Zeek Analytics every day and I leave it open on my computer. I walk away, eat lunch, come back, and it's still open. So I'm not sure what's going on with your account. What browser are you using? Are you some sort of like a extension that refreshes the page or clears cookies every once in a while? I've never seen that happen with Zeek Analytics. Melissa says, what are your main tips for avoiding suspension on Facebook Marketplace? So the good news, Melissa, is that getting suspended on Facebook Marketplace is really rare. It rarely happens. But the stuff you want to avoid is pretty obvious things, I think. So just make sure you're actually shipping out your items to your customers. Make sure you're uploading tracking numbers, responding to questions, different things like that. Some other things to be aware of is that your marketplace account is also in a way tied to your Facebook ads account if you have one. So if you've ever sold on Shopify, for instance, and you've set up Facebook ads so that you could drive traffic to your Shopify store. Well, let's say you ran a really aggressive ad and Facebook said, we don't like that ad. We are suspending your Facebook ads account. If your Facebook ads account gets suspended, then you will not have the shipping option on your Facebook Marketplace account. So make sure that doesn't happen. And if it does happen, appeal to Facebook to get your ads account reinstated so that you then can continue to sell on Facebook Marketplace. Really, that's all you have to worry about, and that's not even going to apply to everyone. Gerardo says, does the quantity of listings have any impact on exposure, or is it just quality listings? You know, the thing about eBay is that they do have a search algorithm that really determines where in the search results your items fall. At the top, at the bottom, on page 1, on page 5. We don't know with 100% certainty what goes into that algorithm. eBay just doesn't tell us. Now, we've done a lot of testing around it. When I say we, I mean like the entire eBay community. So we have some idea of what goes into it, but not concrete. We don't know for sure. Things like making sure that you have good quality images, eBay tells us that is important. The more images you have in a listing, the better. The more item specifics you have, the better. And all of that is automatically added for you if you use a software like AutoDS. So that is all helpful stuff. Making sure you're in the right category. What else? The price matters. The keywords that you use in the title are very important as well. All those things matter. And even things like your sell-through rate, some people believe that will help you rank higher the better your sell-through rate is. I haven't seen any sort of indication, though, that having a lot of listings will impact your exposure on an item-by-item basis. Obviously, the more items you have, the more exposure you're going to have. Just that's just like statistics and math, right? But on an item-by-item basis, I don't see that affecting or impacting your ranking of any individual item. George says, hey, I'm using Zeek Analytics for product research. I find good products. I list them on the Facebook Marketplace, but it's not selling. What do you think I'm doing wrong? So it's hard for me to tell without looking at your account and watching you do the product research and listing process. It could be a few things, though. One, you maybe aren't doing product research the correct way. It's possible. I'm not saying that's happening. Also, you may not be optimizing your listings very well. So maybe your titles need some work. Maybe you don't have your items in the right category. Maybe you're not picking a good main image for the product. All those things matter when it comes to Facebook Marketplace. And if you're selling on Facebook Marketplace, try some other techniques as well. So inside my Facebook Marketplace course, for instance, I go over like 5 or 6 different ways to do product research. Try some of the other ones. See if those ones work better for you and see if you kind of fall into one of those that works. And then you can kind of run with that and just use that as your main product research technique. Robert Porter says, I noticed that AutoDS will send my products for sale to all the stores I have listed. Great. Yeah, it can do a lot. It's pretty cool. Tyler says, what is your strategy on handling Walmart orders delivered from the store? Yeah, so that's what I mentioned before, where we don't always get tracking numbers from Walmart. That's why the international shipping program it's risky to use it with Walmart. So if you run into one of those orders, let's say you're not using the international shipping program. If you run into one of those orders, we just generate a tracking number using a service like Track Taco so that we have something to input into eBay. And usually if the customer gets the item and there's a tracking number uploaded, they're happy. So they're not going to raise any stink about that. Tyler says, how do you deal with Walmart canceling orders due to returns violation? So this is something that has popped up a few times over the past few months with a few different sellers. And I think 100% of the time, if you contact Walmart about it, they will tell you it was a mistake and they will reinstate your Walmart account. So I don't know what's going on over there, but it hasn't happened to me. But it's happened to other people, and they've all told me that as soon as they contact Walmart, maybe it takes a little bit to actually reach the person that they need to reach, but their accounts are always reinstated and they're told it was a mistake. Brett says, what are some personal issues you've experienced with your time using AutoDS and how did you overcome them? What do you mean by personal issues? You mean like things I don't like about AutoDS? So yeah, none of the different software out there is going to be perfect, right? I've tried a few of them, tried several of them, but a few of them have gone out of business or been bought by others. So I've tried many of them, and none of them are perfect, right? They're going to mess up sometimes. They're not going to catch when there's a price change or a stock level change. And for those of you who maybe are just tuning in, don't know what I'm talking about, this software that we use it, we put items into it and it will list it onto eBay for us. And then if the price changes on eBay, it will update the price. If the item goes the price changes on our supplier's website like Amazon or Walmart, it will update the price on eBay. If the item goes out of stock on the supplier's website, it will put it as out of stock on eBay. It can even automatically order items for us. There's a lot it can do. None of them are perfect, right? Sometimes they won't list items. Sometimes it won't catch it when the item's price goes up or the item goes out of stock. That's going to be true for all of them. Some are better than others and they get better every single month at it, but none of them are perfect. So you're always going to have to deal with that. And then you have to deal with the issue if you're not using auto ordering that you get an order and then you go to place the orders 5 or 6 hours later and now the item's out of stock. That's not the software's fault. That's your fault or just bad luck because you didn't place the order on time or right after the order came on eBay, I should say. And for that, you just have to place orders more frequently. I'm trying to think of other issues. I mean, if you have issues with auto ordering, you can just order the items yourself or have a VA do it. That's the way I do it because then we also get tax exemption. We can use our own accounts and get tax exemption on them. So there's that benefit as well. Yeah, if you want something more specific that you want me to cover, let me know. That's just kind of my quick thoughts on it off the top of my head. Tyler says, what's the best way to handle replacements? Because most of the time suppliers need them to return first, which can make things difficult. Yeah, good question. So what Tyler's referring to is, let's say a customer gets an item and it's broken and they want a new one. So usually if you contact your supplier and tell them, hey, this item is broken, I want a new one, they'll make you ship the item back first. That's what the customer has to do. I mean, that's the norm now. The customer can't expect to get a new one first and then ship the broken one back, right? They have to ship the broken one back. I always make the customer return it. I say, hey, let's set up a return. And once the return is complete, you can place a new order. And that's just the way we have to do it because of eBay. I just blame everything on eBay. I say, that's the requirement for eBay so that we're protected as a seller. That is the rule that we have, that the item has to be returned first, and then you can place, and then you'll get a full refund for all the money that you paid, and then you can order a new one. And that way, it's just like a very clean transaction and no sort of confusion in there. Christopher James says $600 tax threshold is per account on eBay. Yes, but you should really talk to a CPA about that because you might still, if you have like 5 accounts and they each reach like $500, you might still be responsible. So yeah, you should really speak to an expert on that. But what Christopher is talking about is once you hit $600 in sales, eBay is going to send you a 1099 at the end of the year so that you have to report to the IRS that you've made money on eBay. This person wants to know, says, hey, Paul, I want to start dropshipping on eBay. Should I register as a personal or a business account? So ultimately, what you would prefer to get is a business account. For some people, though, they have sort of difficulty getting a business account set up, or they already have a personal account and it's hard for them to turn it into a business account. So you can do this with a personal account. You totally can. Just a business account would be better if you had it, but it's not a big deal if you're signed up as a personal account already. And some people, they have a personal account, they can't turn it into a business account until they start selling some products, and then eBay lets them do it. It's a weird, really annoying thing about eBay is they don't really make it easy. There's not like a button you can press like you can on Amazon. it makes me hard to give you an answer as well because it just seems to be different for every seller. No, not really. You can't really sell in the US Facebook marketplace unless you're in the United States. Brett wants to know if I use auto ordering with AutoDS. I've tried it, and when I used it, I liked it. But what I didn't like about it was that I couldn't have my own accounts with tax exemption. So that's why I use my own accounts for it. But I have my VAs do it. Odima says, is it possible for Walmart to ship items to my customers without letting them know that the items are coming from Walmart? So there's a few points I want to make about this. First of all, Walmart doesn't include in the box a piece of paper that says, hey, this item is coming from Walmart. They don't include a price in the box, no sort of invoice, just the item in the box. And then there's the shipping label on the outside of the box, and it does say Walmart on the box, like a Walmart logo. Particularly with Walmart, because there's nothing inside the box, customers don't complain that the item came in a Walmart box. My guess is that they just think I used a Walmart box for the order, that I went to Walmart, bought a bunch of boxes, and that's what I used to ship items to my customers. So I don't think that customers even realize that the items are coming from Walmart, or if they do, they don't seem to care. They rip it open, see their package, and they're happy they got what they ordered, and that's it. So I wouldn't worry about that when it comes to Walmart, or a lot of the other suppliers as well. Perky Dish says, I dropship to eBay from CJ Dropshipping. Do I need to use AutoDS? Because I just list it directly from CJ Dropshipping, and then it goes into my eBay store. Yeah, so CJ Dropshipping has their own sort of automation software where you can click an item in CJ Dropshipping and it will actually list it for sale on eBay. I've never used it, to be honest. I know it exists. I've seen it. So I know it can list items, but I don't know how well it works compared to like AutoDS. And I wouldn't use it because I use other suppliers as well. I use, like Amazon, Home Depot, Walmart, and they're all inside AutoDS. I want everything in one place to keep it organized. I wouldn't want like two suppliers in AutoDS and then using like CJ Dropshipping for their own thing. That would just get too confusing. So that's why I just use AutoDS. But in your case, well, actually, I don't know, because I don't know if it actually automatically updates prices and stock levels. I know I've looked at it, but I can't remember off the top of my head whether it does that. If it doesn't do that, then I wouldn't list it with CJ. I would list it with AutoDS so that it can actually do stock and price levels for you. Gerardo says, do you recommend promoting any listings? If so, what percentage do you recommend? Yeah, it's a good idea if you're not making the sales that you want to try creating a promoted listing campaign on eBay. So what it's supposed to do is push your items higher up in the search results. So if you ever go in the search results on eBay, you're going to see some at the top that say like ad, or what does it say? Ad or promoted? I think it says ad or advertisement under it, like really small letters. And those are promoted listings. So by running a promoted listing campaign, you can get your items higher up in the search results. So what I usually recommend is that if you're looking to boost your listings, you want to create a campaign that has all of your items in it, every single one, and just do a 1% campaign. See if that helps. Then try 2%, try 3%. And simultaneously raise your prices so that you compensate for that. So you actually make the same amount of money, basically. So that's what I would recommend that you do and try that out. Usually most people just do like 1 or 2% and that's it, and helps boost it up a bit. Okay, Mantvides says, eBay suspended my account for having a few cancel orders due to out of stock. I canceled 3 to 4 orders in a half a year. I got suspended. what's going on here. So without looking at your account, I don't know. Maybe there was more that was going on. And it also depends on the number of sales that you got. So if you canceled 3 to 4 orders and those were the only orders you got, well, that's a really high cancellation rate, right? So you don't want that to happen. But if you've had thousands of orders, that's really low, and maybe there's something else going on with your account. I don't know. That sounds unusual for them to cancel your account for out-of-stock orders or out-of-stock products. Usually if you cancel orders for being out of stock, they just penalize you in some way. Usually they will raise your rates or make you increase your shipping and handling time or some weird things that they do like that. But yeah, usually I've never seen that happen that for just so few orders. So I'm wondering if there's something else going on with your account. Can I be successful with eBay dropshipping with only 250 listings? Absolutely, you can. I've shown some videos of this. I've gone into people's eBay accounts and looked at the number of listings they have and the amount of money they're making every month. And we've seen sellers with just a couple hundred listings doing tens of thousands of dollars a month in sales. It really comes down to doing really good product research, the best product research you can. Because if you get really good at product research, you don't need a lot of items. Some people take the opposite approach where they really don't do any sort of product research. They just list as many items as they can. That is one method, but it's expensive. It's hard for beginners because they have lower selling limits on eBay. It's not the approach I would go with. The optimization, you can spend less money getting it started, less of a headache, less items, and still make good sales if you get good at product research. David says, hey, good afternoon. I stopped dropshipping in 2020 due to shipping issues and the speed of delivery. How do you believe dropshipping has changed since then? Well, David, that was, as you know, the height of the pandemic when the whole world was just turned upside down, right? Lots of people ordering stuff online, but a lot of different industries shut down. So it made it really hard for fulfillment to happen in a timely manner. So things are definitely back up to normal. I don't know if normal is the right word for the world these days, but things are back to normal, so to speak. So I think all those issues that you saw back then, you're not going to see those anymore. Okay, so question, should I start with a starter store or basic store subscription? Can you explain the differences between them? So what this guy's talking about is there's different store subscriptions on eBay. So think of it this way. When you start selling on eBay, you're going to have a free account. Most people, I think you should stay with this free account for a little while. You know, you don't want to be taking on more expenses than you need to in the beginning. Start with a free account. But eventually you will want to upgrade to a store subscription. So kind of think of this as like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, just like a subscription model to eBay. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. It's kind of lost it. But there's different tiers of this. And the higher the tier goes, the more expensive the plan, that's the word I was looking for, the plan gets, but you get more benefits with it. The primary benefit of these different plans is you get free listings, more free listings. So believe it or not, eBay actually charges you every time you list an item. Now, don't freak out because with the free plan, you actually get a lot of listings for free. But after those free ones, they charge you. And the higher the plan is, the more free listings you get. So eventually it does make sense to go for one of the more expensive plans. Plus, the other benefit is once you get to the basic plan, you get a discount on your final value fee. So every time you sell an item, eBay removes from it the final value fee, something around 13%. But once you get to the basic plan, that final value fee drops a little bit. So you save more money there as well. The starter store, in my opinion, doesn't really make a lot of sense if you run the numbers. it doesn't really have a huge benefit using the starter store. So if you're going to jump into it, I would jump right to the basic store. You're going to get that lower final value fee. You're going to get more free listings. It just makes a lot more sense to use the basic store over the starter store. Now, at what point you do that there's math involved there that I'm not great at math, but inside my course, I break it down. I did the math at one point and put it into the course and just said like, hey guys, at this point you want to upgrade to a basic store. Before that, it doesn't make sense to have a basic store because you wouldn't be saving any money. So you can figure out the math on it on your own. Is it all right to, Tyler wants to know if it's all right to delete items that don't sell after 2 weeks, or could they still sell? I usually give items a month, Tyler. If an item hasn't sold in a month, even if it's sold before, I usually delete it from my store and replace it with a new item that I found. Same thing, Gerardo. So Gerardo says, I have a Valentine's Day item that sold 18 times in February, but it hasn't sold since then. Should I just delete it or keep it for next season? So I would delete that, but first put it into a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet for every holiday, Christmas, Valentine's Day, things like that, of items that sold last year. And then when it's coming up, I have my VAs go through that list, see if the item is still available. Some of the items got discontinued, so it wouldn't be available anymore. And then we list those items first and then look for new ones. Do I dropship closing products? I don't know what closing products are. David says, how many listings would you have on an account if you were starting fresh? Do you recommend showing one item available or multiple items available per listing? Yeah, so what David's talking about is when you list an item, you can choose how many, you can tell eBay how many you have in stock, whether that's 1 or 5 or 6 or 7, whatever you want. But just know that if you do 2, that counts as 2 against your selling limit. So for that reason, for new sellers, I recommend just keeping it at 1. So that way it doesn't count more than once against your selling limit for the month. Oh, clothing products. No, I don't really sell clothes for the most part. There's a few like things I sell from Home Depot, like jackets, but that's it. I never got into clothing, to be honest. I'm always afraid there are going to be too many returns for them. Alyssa says, does feedback affect your selling performance and the amount of sales you get per day? Yeah, so same thing I kind of mentioned before is where we don't really know from eBay for sure what goes into their algorithm and how high up in the search results you get and whether you get more sales per day. Feedback is one that people suspect does go into it. I think, though, as long as you're above 95%, if you're above 95%, you're definitely fine. If you're above 90%, you're probably fine. And it is, in my opinion, pretty easy to keep your feedback above 90 and even 95%. Gerardo says, what supplier do you prefer, Lowe's or Home Depot? That's an easy one. It's definitely Home Depot. Lowe's is a very tough supplier to work with. I used to drop ship from them for a couple of years, a few years back. And what I liked about them at the time was that you were able to get basically an unlimited supply of Lowe's coupons that were like 20% off basically. And so we were able to sell stuff on eBay for basically like at break even and still make a really good profit because we just use a lot of those coupons. In other words, break even before the coupon. But the problem with them is that they're just terrible. They have terrible logistics. So when you order from Home Depot, from what I understand, the items actually come from a Home Depot warehouse that is designed or that is specific for their e-commerce. So it only ships to customers who buy items online. The way Lowe's is set up, it seems if you order an item from Lowe's, they will send that order to a store, any Lowe's store out there that happens to have that item in stock. A representative at that store, so an employee at that store, would walk to the shelf, grab the item off the shelf, put it in a box, and they would ship it out themselves. And what we found was that some of these stores just wouldn't ship out the items. I don't know if they just don't get a lot of them, they don't know about the e-commerce, or if the item was out of stock, they just wouldn't know what to do until I call and say, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh yeah, the item is out of stock. And that's what I had to do. We had to call all these stores all the time. I actually hired a virtual assistant. His full-time job was just calling stores all day to ask where the products were, because usually once we called, then they would ship it out. So it was just so terrible to work with them. And once the coupons stopped working as well, it just wasn't worth it anymore. I don't know if they've gotten better, but I'm just traumatized by that experience. I do not want to use Lowe's at all. Home Depot is much better. This I don't know. So Chris says, do multiple eBay accounts affect each other in sales if one account has bad metrics and the other is top rated? What I can tell you is that all your eBay accounts are linked up together. eBay, within their internal system, they, any representative, when they are talking with you on the phone, they pull up your account, they're going to see your account, and there's like this spider web they see of all the other accounts that are linked to yours that they believe you own as well. So I know they're all linked together, and if one gets suspended, it is possible that all of your accounts will get suspended, but that's not necessarily true. It just could happen. As far as the metrics and top rated go, I haven't heard of that happening. I haven't heard of like an account with bad metrics affecting one that has good metrics. Maybe that happens. I haven't heard of it. Tyler says, do you mind me asking what your favorite Zeek Analytics feature is to use? Yeah, so again, Zeek Analytics is a software we use for product research for eBay dropshipping. My favorite feature of it is the competitor research tool. So that's where you can grab any seller's name on eBay, plug them in there, and it will show you all of that seller's items ranked by their most popular. So say, hey, this item sold 30 times in the past month, the next one sold 28, the next one sold 27, all the way down to items that aren't selling. So I love that because I could plug a dropshipper in there and see, hey, these dropshipping items are doing really well right now. I can sell those same items or really similar items, and I don't really have to guess at which items are selling well. Melissa says, do you know if there are any issues linking SKU Grid with Facebook Marketplace for stock checking? I don't know anything about it, to be honest. I haven't used SKU Grid in a while. I didn't even know they worked with Facebook Marketplace like that. Carrie says, when is the right time to hire a VA? That's a little hard to answer. So you definitely want to hire a VA before you start to feel just like out of control, overwhelmed, which is, I'm speaking from experience here, because that's definitely the point I got to before I hired my first VA. And that was a mistake, because once you get to that point, you can't scale anymore. A virtual assistant will help you scale and continue to scale if you already are. So don't dismiss them. Like, they're really, really helpful, important. When is the right time? Well, I like to say most people aren't going to need it for like the first month or two, but once you start to see momentum pick up, I would think about hiring a virtual assistant, even if just on a part-time basis. Say, I'm going to hire you for a few days a week or a couple hours a week at first. I want you to begin to understand how my systems work, and then I'll have more work for you later. But for now, I'm just scaling up. I just want you to kind of help me along with that. And then you're going to scale up. They're going to grow with you. And that's a really good way to kind of ease into having a virtual assistant. What is the difference between Inventory Source and AutoDS? So both of these software are really designed to help you automate dropshipping on eBay, but they're for completely different sets of suppliers. So with AutoDS, you're going to be dropshipping from retail suppliers, Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, Wayfair, Overstock, which is now Bed Bath & Beyond. What else? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I don't even, CJ Dropshipping, AliExpress, those kinds of websites. Inventory Source works with wholesale suppliers. The thing is, though, I like AutoDS because it's like a flat fee for the month for as many different suppliers as you want to use. And it's like, it starts at like $20 a month or something like that. Inventory Source, you have to pay something like $100 per supplier. So if you have 3 suppliers, you're paying like $300 a month. I think there might be like a small discount in there. Let's call it $200 a month, all right? That's still a lot of money, especially considering that with wholesale dropshipping, what I've noticed is that with most wholesale suppliers I work with, there's just a few items from each supplier that I'm actually selling. So I'm not going to pay $100 a month just for like 3 or 4 or 5 items. With AutoDS, if I'm dropshipping from like Walmart, there are like hundreds of items from Walmart that I'm successfully dropshipping. So I don't mind paying AutoDS. Well, I definitely don't mind paying them just $20 or whatever it is to start with them. But that's kind of the difference between them. Cyber Player says, what are some product research mistakes you made with Zeek Analytics? Mistakes? I don't really know what mistakes. I mean, there's always mistakes you can make with product research in general. I mean, listing products that don't have any sales history. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, use it. I mean, I guess a mistake would be not using it because, Zeek Analytics is the only software I've seen that will show you how many times items have sold in the past month, which is really important. You can't get that information from eBay anymore. So you want that because you don't want just items that have sold in the past. You want items that have sold in the past month. So you know that they're popular now. Tyler says Temu would be such a great supplier if they didn't have the orange wrapping. Yeah. I made a whole video about whether you can dropship from Temu. And there are a lot of things I really liked about it. Cheap items, free shipping, fast shipping, pretty much. But there are a few things I didn't like. The orange wrapping was definitely one of them. Like I talked about earlier, I don't worry too much if the item comes in a Walmart box or an Amazon box or Home Depot box. We haven't had many people complain, and the boxes are pretty subtle. When you buy something from Temu, it's this bright orange package. It is very obvious that this item is coming from Temu. So for that, it's hard to imagine that customers wouldn't notice that. Combine that with the fact that Temu has basically said they don't want you drop shipping from them, and they've shut down people for doing it. Doesn't seem to be a good solution for drop shipping, or a good supplier to drop ship from. Yeah, I talked about this earlier, Gerardo. I think shipping internationally is not going to work with some suppliers like Amazon or Walmart. You can definitely do it with Home Depot and any supplier that consistently gives you tracking numbers. You could definitely do it with. Basic Info Playbook says, what is your workaround when Walmart will not deliver and requires pickup only? So when you buy stuff on Walmart, there's a few different, let's say I'm just buying something on Walmart for myself. If I do that, there's 2 different options for buying that item. I can have it shipped to me, or I can say, hey, I'm going to go buy this now, but then I'm going to go to my Walmart store and actually go pick it up. Sometimes the item is not available for shipping and it's only available for pickup. In that case, that item is out of stock for drop shipping purposes. So you don't want to sell that item because it is out of stock. And AutoDS knows that, and it will count that item as out of stock. So you shouldn't be selling an item that's available for pickup only, because that means that it is out of stock. The only thing you don't want to choose is that the item is out of stock. Yeah, Clive says, I'm going to start drop shipping. I have 3 Amazon and Prime accounts ready. My limits are 200 on eBay. How many Amazon Prime accounts do I need to avoid Amazon ban? I'm just going to be 100% honest about this, Clive. This is like one of those limitations. I haven't seen anyone successfully drop shipping from Amazon Prime. I don't think it matters how many accounts you have. I think eventually they're going to figure out that you're doing it and they're going to shut down your Prime accounts. So I would just use regular Amazon accounts for that and stick to items that are over $25. All right. Yeah, Melissa's having trouble with an account suspension. Sounds like so I'm going to put this up on the screen just so this doesn't happen to anyone else. She says, so eBay bot suspended her. She sent a message to her customer. I think she was trying to send a tracking number, but the bot thought it was a phone number. So she got suspended. And then she got her account back, but it was suspended again because when it was originally suspended, she didn't make payment on the store subscription. So now she's kind of stuck. Yeah, so I guess the lesson here is be careful what you send in those messages. I don't know how you worded the message, but maybe say, hey, this is a tracking number. Don't put dashes in there so it's clear it's not a phone number. I'm not sure, but I really hope you get your account back. Melissa, I'm sorry that happened to you. Sounds like it's just a mistake on eBay's part. Yeah, scrub back. I answered this already. This isn't a concern for that you should be worried about. Like, yes, this is Amazon on the box or it says Prime on the box, whatever it says, but the customers just don't care. Okay, there's no paper in there. They're not going to care about it. So I wouldn't stress out about it. Can you find some products for us? I'm not going to do that live today, but plenty of videos here on YouTube where I do show how I find products, so definitely make sure that you check those out. All right, so those are all the questions for this week. If you enjoyed the video and answered a question, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. I do these live streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so definitely come back for the next one. And in the description of this video are a lot of free resources for you. So I have free ebooks that go over my top dropshipping suppliers. I have a free ebook that has all my dropshipping recommendations when it comes to software and tools. And if you use the links for the software that are included in that ebook, then you get the best deal possible. Sometimes you get a free trial or an extended trial or like a discount going forward if you use those links. So definitely check out those free resources. And I'll see you all in the next live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Bye for now.